Hi everyone, welcome back. So it's been a while since we have discussed and met, but yet I'm back with an exciting and interesting video. So this video is about, as the title says, why does cannabis plant make humans high? So the cannabis plant, it is commonly we also call it as marijuana, right? It is basically it's also called as it's known as cannabis sativa. It is a green leafy plant. It's found primarily in the Central Asia. And cannabis, so the marijuana, what we say is referring to the specific part of the plant that gives you high levels of that molecule called THC, which we'll be learning in the upcoming video is that it is the main molecule that makes people high when you take cannabis. So cannabis is the whole plant, and whereas marijuana is just the part of the plant that gives you has the high concentration of the molecule that makes people high. So marijuana is primarily bred to give you get you for that high THC content. So it's also grown for the medicinal needs and fiber and recreational use. So in India, marijuana and the cannabis preparation. So we have ganja, bhang, charas, and all of that, right? So in today's video, so the cannabis, whether it's a bad drug, it depends on basically how, why, and whom it is taken. Okay, so there are cases where cannabis is used for medicinal benefits for pain and seizures, but it also has clear risk of addiction, memory issues, and mental health challenges, especially for young people. So in today's video, we're going to discuss the why does the plant cannabis make such high molecules that makes us high, and what are the genetic and molecular mechanisms? And yeah, let's dive in. So to understand cannabis, we should first understand plants. So plants are the nature's ultimate synthetic chemist because they can't run away and they have from danger. They have to make a specialized massive array of specialized chemical compounds, which are called as secondary metabolites, in order to survive, adapt, and communicate. So biochemists classify these into three main categories, that is terpenoids, phenolic compounds or phenolics, and alkaloids. Here's the first big myth buster. So cannabis did not evolve to get humans high. So in nature, these chemical compounds they act as a defense mechanism. So the plant creates them to ward off hungry insects, protect itself from harsh and ultraviolet radiation, and to survive environmental stress. So the psychoactive effect on humans is purely evolutionary coincidence. So the star molecule responsible for these activities or this effect is delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol or THC. Structure is a lipid soluble molecule. It's made of central system, as you can see in this diagram here. It is attached to a long hydrocarbon tail, and this specific shape and chemical nature is what makes it allowing it to interact so uniquely with the human biology, and we'll see how it does. So how does the plant actually build this molecule, right? So it all happens inside tiny microscopic crystal-like structures. These are on the plant surface. These structures are called trichomes. So first there are two co-building blocks which are called as olivetic acid and guanyl pyrophosphate. These two building blocks are combined, okay, and then you have an enzyme which is called olivate guanyl transferase, which will join them and they help them to form a molecule that is called cannabigerolic acid or CGPA. Okay, this is called as the mother of all cannabinoids. Okay, so finally what happens? This CGPA, right? So there is a specialized enzyme called THCA synthetase. Okay, so that will convert the CBGA, which is the cannabigerolic acid, into the tetrahydrocannabinolic acid. So this is the acidic precursor for your main molecule, that is THC. Okay, so this is how the THCA molecule or the enzyme, the THCA is formed. Okay. So here's the trick. So raw cannabis actually has almost zero active THC. Okay, the molecule responsible for the psychoactive form. So it has mostly THCA, which is a non-psychoactive, and it will not get you high. So to convert THCA into active form, that is a psychoactive THC, okay, tetrahydrocannabinol, it needs to be heated. So heating the plant, whether through smoking, vaporizing, or baking, triggers a chemical process which is called decarboxylation, where the carbon dioxide is removed. So that will give you the active THC, that is tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay. So once that happens, once the THC enters the bloodstream, it will reach the brain and it will find a system which is called the endocannabinoid system. So a biological network, okay, it uses lipid molecules like basically anamide. Anamide is a neurotransmitter. So it will help in, this is a molecule that primarily helps in balancing memory, pain, mood, and appetite, naturally in our neural system, right? So because the THC, its structure can mimic the action of of our natural endocannabinoids, example like the anamide. So what it does, it will go bind to the CB1 receptor. CB1 in the sense in cannabinoid receptor 1 in your neurons. So by doing this, it will essentially disable the brain's natural chemical breaks, and that will trigger a release, a surge of dopamine. So once the dopamine surge happens, combined with the altered cellular signaling in the, so what it happens, it creates a experience what we call as high, being high. Okay, so that's what happens. Then, so at the synaptic level, it happens through retrograde signaling. So when the THC will go bind to this particular CB1 receptor, it will activate intracellular protein pathways. So that will block calcium channels and it will inhibit the release of any kind of neurotransmitters across that synaptic cleft. So by quietening down all of your inhibitory signals, the brain's reward pathways run free. Okay. So finally, to wrap everything up, it is a defense molecule. Cannabis has evolved THC for its own survival, not for us. It's a lucky fit. So it's a chemical structure which is happening to mimic our own internal anamide, and it slot rightly very perfectly into the receptors as well. So it helps you to retune your brain. So it will turn down any of the pre-synaptic neurotransmitter release or any kind of breaks, and it helps boost the dopamine. So it will alter the perception, memory, and mood. So this is the simple biochemistry behind why cannabis makes humans high. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe for more.